Join me right now on Kumite Radio for the first time is Tyler McGuire. He will be fighting on November 17th in the main event of One Warrior's Dream for the vacant welterweight title versus Zebaztian Kadestam in Jakarta. What's going on, Tyler?
Not a lot. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. It's good to finally get you on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's crazy. People want to talk to me now, so this is fun.
It's part of the job.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So you're originally from Iowa, but now you train out of Spokane, Washington, USA. How did you end up under the guidance of Rick Little?
It's actually kind of a funny story. It's one of his favorite stories. So I joined the Air Force, and I came up here to Spokane, and did my training, and then I was looking for a gym to train at. And I walked in with a fellow airman, and he didn't necessarily like that guy. He's one of my really good friends. I love him to death. Him and Rick just never really meshed, which is personalities, whatever. But he was trying to kick me out of the gym for about 2 weeks. So every single day he was sending his best guys at me, round after round after round. I never said a word. I just kept showing up. And then sharing the gym with guys like Sam at the time, Sam Cecilia, Mike Chiesa, Julie Pena, and I just realized like this is where all of the talent is. If I wanted to be successful, that's where I needed to be. So, I guess it was kind of persistence. Kept getting beat up every day, but kept showing up, and I was holding my own. And then he realized that I wasn't going anywhere, so he better invest some time in me, and looks like it paid off. So,
yeah, definitely. Rick, I've heard stories about him. He's not the most conventional type of coach. He is unique in his ways.
Yeah. He has some controversial methods and things that he says, but what he does works. He takes people so he doesn't recruit. He takes people from Spokane and grows them locally, organically, and we've got guys in the UFC, Bellator. I'm in one. So he knows what he's doing. It's mad scientist, I guess. But
yeah, the proof is in the pudding, like they say.
Yeah.
Because you do have all those high level guys out there in Spokane. Now, you are a representative of his fighting system, Sikjitsu. Could you explain for the people that don't know what exactly that is?
So a lot of gyms focus on jiu-jitsu, striking, and it's very like a disjointed. Like, we're going to do our ground game, now we're going to do our striking. Whereas I like to put, I see you got a Seahawks hat on. It's kind of like when the Seahawks with the Legion of Boom at the time with the defense. It's simple. It's simple to the point, and we're there to fight. We're not there to outpoint somebody or anything like that. It's kind of like, I use the example of if I put 10 markers in front of you and I tell you to grab a marker, you're going to take a half second to figure out what marker you want to grab. But if I put one or two, three markers in front of you, your decision making is going to be that much faster. And I think that's what allows us to be successful. I mean, you adjust it for the fighter, but I think that simplicity is why it's so successful. So that's the best way I can put it.
All right, man. You are right now a great representative of the gym and of that system. You are very successful at what you're doing right now. Now let's go back to your promotional debut at One Pursuit of Power. You took on and took down and dominated Luis Santos, who is a dangerous striker. What did you think about the performance you had?
Going into the fight, Sapo's been fighting since I was in high school, and that guy is incredible. I think he has like 35 or 36 knockouts, 64 or 65 wins. He has like just the aura of him, going into that fight. I have such a respect for him, and I've watched him for a long time. But it was, for me, it was going to show me whether or not I belonged on the world stage, and in the back of my mind, I realized, like, if One is giving me this opportunity against Sapo, then they must think I could be ready for a title shot, because I knew Askren was leaving, so it's like, well, if they're putting my feet to the fire, let's see what happens, and then we leading up to it, he gets in the cage, and then once we locked up, I realized, I was like, I've got a shot here, especially when I got that initial takedown, because that's one thing I'm a little bit different than a lot of other fighters. Is a lot of other fighters, because they know how fast he is, they know how strong he is, but I'm like, well, let's see how fast you are. Let's see how strong you are. And I think that might have taken him off guard because he's so used to everybody giving him space and backing off. But and he drilled me with a knee that first takedown. But I'm not gonna let a belly shot make me lose a fight. So when I grabbed him and got that takedown, I was like, this fight might go my way. And then I saw his speed and I was like, all right, I can handle your speed too. And then I just kind of built the confidence. But at all times, I knew how dangerous he was. At no point in that fight did I think it was easy or anything like that. I mean, he's an incredible athlete. He swept me like 4 times. I'll try to heel hook me. So I think if we fought again, it would be just the same. Like he'd be dangerous the entire time, and I'd have to be on my toes because if I was off and luckily I was just on that night. I mean, well, I don't say luckily because I put in the work, but if I wasn't on for half a second, I was going to sleep. And I knew that. I thought I executed the game plan and did what I needed to do, and just that night, I just happened to be the better fighter. But
yeah, you went in there and you stood in front of him for long periods of time. People were probably shocked that you were doing that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
and the striking style that you have is very creative. You did a Superman punch off the cage. You're doing a lot of spinning attacks.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
So I grew up. I have a brown belt in Taekwondo, and honestly, up to this point, everybody pegs me as a grappler. Which I don't mind because I do enjoy that. But the cages I fought in on the regional scene, if anybody who's fought on the regional scene knows you're not fighting in a giant in a giant cage. It's the size of an office, so you're going to eventually lock up, and if they go down, it is what it is. But up to that point, I had a 12-second knockout on my record, and I like putting on a fight for the fans, because they pay their good money, and then in the end, like when I'm in the cage, like especially once I kind of get the timing down and all that, I'm like, well, let's see what happens. And it's fun. That's really the ultimate thing. Like I'm not there to be a stiff and just a robot rock'em sock'em bopper. It's a martial arts. And people want to see that. So, and you work hard for 7 to 8 weeks. So let's put it on display and see what happens. So.
Yeah, throughout the fight, it seemed like your confidence was growing. Even in the second round, you came out and put your hands behind your back.
Yeah.
Were you trying to bait Santos with that?
Because at that point I felt like I had his speed down, and one of the things that I realized was like, I had his timing down at that point, and I'm like, well, let's see if I can get him to expend some energy here, and that's one thing, because I've read some of the interviews, and everybody in the world thought I was going to lose until I was a grappler, and then if you watch the fight, like I was walking Sapo down, because I felt the confidence. But yeah, no, that was just trying to get him to engage and see what happens. So
yeah, it was
that's what the fans
interesting.
want.
It was fun.
You
made it fun, and you made people notice that you weren't afraid to kind of stand there and show your striking too against an elite guy.
Oh yeah, I'll throw. You never have to worry about me getting a yellow card in one. I'm there to fight. Like, and I fully understand. That's one thing I hope the fans understand is, I understand they're there to see a fight. I understand they paid good money to see a fight. They're why I get to do this, or why I get to fly halfway across the world and fight another man in a cage. So, and that'll never be lost on me. And the fact they're watching the podcast, like that means a lot to me, as an athlete. And I just want to make them feel like they're valued, and they're spending their time with me, watching me. So I want to make that fun for them. So,
Zebaztian, he's your opponent coming up for the title. He also faced Santos. Did you catch that fight?
I did watch it a few times, and that's one of the things that I know I'm getting with Zebaztian is that man loves to fight, and there's no quit in him either. Even if you watch, people, kind of bag on him for the Askren fight, his ground game, but like, it doesn't matter how good your ground game is. Askren makes everybody's ground game look terrible. And he still, like, he didn't quit. He was just, the referee was like, all right, you're not getting brain damage. But then if you look at the improvement he had against Tani, he's got an amazing ground game. So, he's growing as a martial artist. And I have a lot of respect for Zebaztian. So that's why I'm really looking forward to him. And him and I spent a lot of time together, doing medicals and stuff this last card if we were in the same corner. So I got to know him a little bit, and he's a great individual. So it should be a good fight.
If you compare your performance against Kadestam's performance, what key differences do you see?
I read the interview with Zebaztian, and and he took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, so you got to keep that in mind. And from what I read, his game plan was to kind of pour it on in the third round. So he stuck to his game plan as well. Um, so I would say, as far as game plans, we both can execute in the cage. I think that I showed a little more physical dominance and speed and power, but at the same time, Zebaztian, when it counted, delivered. So, and that's the one thing that I also recognize is that with Zebaztian, this guy's an elite striker. I don't know if you saw some of those elbows against Tani, but that guy's nasty. So I know just like with Santos, if I'm off for a second, he's gonna put me out. So yeah, no, I expect to be on that night. So I have to be.
One championship, they have a different rule set compared to most promotions, especially the knees to a grounded opponent.
I when I was coming over to it, I thought it would be a hard adjustment, because coming from the States, and obviously that's not allowed. But it felt so natural. Like, I think the very first time I had Santos in a head drop, I threw a knee, like, just, my coach was thinking he was going to have to remind me or whatever. But, you know, I like it a lot because it's more of a pure form of combat, because your knees are a weapon. I wish it was like that in the States too, because I don't know what the difference is between a hand on the ground and a hand not on the ground. A knee is still a knee to the head. And it just gives you more weapons, and it just kind of changes the game a little bit, because it's really, it is a chess match. And that just adds another piece of the game board, if you will. So I like it a lot.
Going into this title fight, in your mind, are you going in as the underdog?
No. I think I'm actually. I have a lot of confidence going into this fight, but at the same time, I have a lot of respect as well. I wouldn't say I'm the overwhelming favorite either, but because I know how hard he's working. I know I got a chance to meet his coach. I know how hard they work. He's got a great coach, smart guy. So I would say going into it, my confidence is high, but I also know it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, you're going to Jakarta, Indonesia. Did you ever expect to be going to such a location to fight?
No, it's funny. I joined the Air Force to see the world, and here I am fighting to see the world. This will be my second trip to Southeast Asia. Malaysia was my first, and it was a gorgeous country. Some of the nicest people I've ever met. Amazing food. I'm looking forward to Jakarta as well. I've been reading up on it. Because obviously it's different customs and cultures, and obviously I want to. That's really the biggest thing. I want to kind of show the people from other countries is, they see what they see on TV, and all the news and the crap they see. Your average American is not like that. We're regular people, nice. You meet us, well, that's one of the things I want to show, going over there. So that's why I'm trying to take the time, learn the customs and culture, and be respectful, because again, like, the fans are there to watch us fight, but I'm giving an impression of what an American is too. So, and I'm hoping I leave a good one.
Well, you're already off to a good start representing yourself, your gym, your country in Asia or even around the world. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a fantastic main event. You are undefeated, which is always a phenomenal feat in MMA, and I'm pretty sure you're confident that you're gonna continue your run. How do you feel about the state of One Championship right now with all of these new signings and Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson, and these tournaments that they're putting on?
I think it's incredible. I was actually I always knew about one, but I actually got really familiar with it when I was in Hawaii, and I got to train with the Lee family over at United MMA, and and I saw how talented Christian was, and obviously Angela, and the work ethic they had, and I got to talking to their father and coach, about One Championship, and just I started like learning about the rule set and the organization, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it because here I am getting a title shot, and all I've had to do is be respectful, be a martial artist, and be a fighter. That's who I am. Like, I'm not a trash talker. I'm not. That's just not. The American. They can do that in the other organizations, but that's not who I am. And I like the fact that I can do that and still get and progress. And as far as the signings, I think this is a great time to be a part of one. They are making they're making moves. Especially a guy like Mighty Mouse. You can't ask for a better representative of martial arts. He is the complete martial artist. And then Eddie Alvarez, the Underground King. That guy, you're not getting a boring fight with him. And then I saw they're doing the Grand Prix, and I'm like, that's amazing, because you're going to see some incredible matches, especially if he gets to match up against Aoki again. Like, there's going to be some incredible. And then I guess Sage is present there as well. So I think that people are realizing that there's options outside of those other organizations, outside the UFC. And the UFC is a great organization, Bellator, great organizations, but if you want to, the spirit of a true martial artist, I think lies with one. And I read that personal letter, to the athletes the other day from the president. It's great stuff. I love being a part of one. So.
Yeah, Sage could be possibly an addition to the welterweight division, which is very exciting,
Yeah.
I think, for a welterweight that's fighting for one championship.
Oh, absolutely. That guy's an incredible athlete, and again, I just think he's underappreciated. Here in the States, he's still a kid. He's going to college and competing in the NFL of fighting. Whether in all these big organizations. Great attitude. So yeah, that's another high profile signing. So I think the floodgates could be opening here soon, because that's one of the things I noticed about one is just because I've been to other shows, other big organizations, other productions, and one's production is hands down the best I've ever seen. I was treated amazing when I was there. I felt like I was wow, they actually really want me here. So I think once fighters get a taste of that, they realize, like, hey, they are worth something outside of just a paycheck, and I think that's what one does a really good job of. So.
All right, Tyler, man, thank you for your time, and it's not much time left until you have to take off to Jakarta to main event
I'm looking forward to
the
it.
show, and good luck to you, and I'll speak with you again soon.
All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.